The Chaukhandi tombs from an early Islamic century situated 29 kilometers 18 miles east of Karachi in the Sindh province of Pakistan. The tombs are notable for their elaborate sandstone carving. The tombs are similar in style to elaborate tombs at the Makli Necropolis near Thatta. Generally, the tombs are attributed to the Jokyo, also spelled Jokia, and known as the family graveyard of a Jokyo tribe. But they mainly consist of Baloch tribes. They were mainly built during Mughal rule, sometimes in 15th to 18th century, when Islam became dominant. This type of a graveyard in the Sindh and Balochistan is remarkable because of its main north-south orientation. The more elaborate graves are constructed with a buffer-colored sandstone, which has often kept remarkable well over time in the arid local climate. Tombs were constructed either as a single grave or as a group of up to 8 graves raised on a common platform. The earliest passing reference of Chaukhandi tombs, aka, is in a letter of J. McLean addressing to H.P.E. Ferry in 1851. The tombs, however, given more serious attention for the first time by H.D., the assistant collector of Thatta in Karachi district in 1917. The tombs at near Landi were included in Ancient Movement Preservation Act 1904 and 1922. After the Second World War, the Chaukhandi tombs did not receive any attention from the Pakistan authorities until Dr. I.H. Qureshi, a renowned historian and the then Education Minister, later Chancellor of Karachi University, drew the attention of the Department of Archaeology and Museum to them, having received a letter on the subject from Z. Hussain, Governor of State Bank of Pakistan. Then the Director General of Department of Archaeology and Museums, Sheikh Khurshid Hassan, confessed that at the first his department did not even realize that the tombs were protected under the Ancient Movement Preservation Act 1904. Soon the department realized its mistakes and started taking some measure for the protection of necropolis. In the post-independence era, a first serious study was undertaken by Mumtaz Hussain. He described Chaukhandi tomb as a Baloch tombs. Subsequently, many articles appeared in national newspaper, but the mystery as to their origin could not be solved. Pakistan Professor Mirza Ahmad Beg visited Sindh at the end of 20th century and examined some of the tombs. He pointed out to the Rajput influence in the Chaukhandi necropolis. He mentioned that it is well known that many Maunda warriors groups have family ties with the so-called Rajput tribes of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Some Rajasthan tribe, namely the Jokyo, immigrated from Kutch, Gujarat, and Rajputana towards the Sindh and Makran region during the Sama dynasty. The tombs are closely relationship among each other, including matrilineal ties both within own group as well as the Baloch tribes and Kalamatis. His hypothesis suggests tribal Rajput origin in the drawn by a child. The decoration of the tomb, mostly with the geometric motifs, seems driven from the wood sculpture, which has a few expectations. Human figures are avoided in accordance with Islam beliefs. The Chaukhandi graveyard is in a way divided into 2 parts. The number of graves in the low in the eastern part and a very high in the western part. The local says that in the eastern part of the graveyard there are graves of Jokyo tribes, while in the western part are the graves of Baloch people. The Chaukhandi graveyard is a masterpiece of architecture and sculpture and is historical one of the most important graveyards in Pakistan. All the tombs here are made of more sandstone. Rectangular tombs are usually 2.5 feet wide, 5 feet long, and 4 to 6 feet high. The tombs are regularly curved. The painting features flowers, various design headband similar to the crown of Egyptian kings. Tall domes have been erected on some of the tombs, indicating the ordinary people are not buried in the Chaukhandi graveyard. Men's graves are marked with swordsmanship, horsemanship, and sword, etc., while the women's graves are decorated with beautiful ornaments. Some people say about the place that at night, usually after a sunset, there are screams and noises, but there is no proof as how true this is.